In the modern world of today, women have the privilege of pursuing their own career. The challenges of equality in higher education, the underrepresentation of women, looks at the new problem women are facing, which is that they are unsuccessful in making it to the top of their chosen profession. Sheryl Sandberg, the Chief Operating Officer of Facebook, speaks at a TED Talk conference in 2010 on this topic.
A couple of years ago, I was in New York and I was pitching a deal, and I was in one of those fancy New York private equity offices you can picture, and I'm in the meeting. It's about a 3-hour meeting, and 2 hours in, there's kind of needs to be that I.O. break, and everyone stands up, and the partner running the meeting starts looking really embarrassed, and I realize he doesn't know where the women's room is in his office. So I start looking around for moving boxes, figuring they just moved in, but I don't see any. And so I said, "So did you just move into this office?" And he said, "No, we've been here about a year." And I said, "Are you telling me that I'm the only woman to have pitched a deal in this office in a year?" And he looked at me and he said, "Yeah, or maybe you're the only one who had to go to the bathroom." So the question is, how are we going to fix this? How do we change these numbers at the top? How do we make this different?
This problem of lack of women in leadership positions that Sheryl Sandberg speaks of is not isolated to the corporate world. Research studies have shown that a lack of women holding leadership positions can also be seen in higher education. This lack of diversity in leadership positions in higher education is unacceptable. Wallace, Budin, Jubon, and Budin assert that since leadership plays an important role in higher education, the need for diverse leaders is important. Institutional authority cannot be solely left to the leadership of men. There is a great need for women leaders in academia. Working women may be breaking into the world of higher education, but they still face barriers when it comes to entering certain fields, as well as with obtaining leadership positions. Burke and Mattis report that women are underrepresented in senior academic ranks and faculty leadership positions such as presidents, chancellors, provosts, deans, and chairs. Women are maintaining low and mid-level positions in higher education. The goal of this presentation is to examine the disproportionate number of men to women entering into higher education and leadership positions in higher education, and the different rates by which men and women reach their leadership positions. For the purpose of this research, I reviewed 10 studies ranging in date from 1992 to 2014. The 10 studies focused on gender inequality in higher education. The 4 studies shown concentrate on the stated thesis of this research. We will look more closely at the 4 studies shown. The first study, completed by Andrea Gallant. Andrea Gallant is the author of Symbolic Interactions and the Development of Women Leaders in Higher Education. Her study explains how the underrepresentation of women in higher education leadership is a persistent global phenomenon. Gallant defines symbolic interactionism as a premise about the modification of face-to-face behavior based on 4 elements: individual perception of the interaction, our understanding of the interaction, the symbolic meanings embedded in the interaction, and how we think the other is making sense of that same event. Gallant's study examines the symbolic interactionism of 8 women aspiring to leadership. These women were examined after having attended a leadership program designed to enhance their leadership abilities. Gallant investigated what mid-career women need in order to achieve their leadership aspirations. This process involved semi-structured interviews, which were approximately 45 minutes in length, and involved a series of 12 questions related to their views on leadership and their personal experiences as women leaders. The study found that the participants understood leadership to connect relational skills, emotional intelligence, and developing capacity in others, according to Gallant. Through the interviews emerged the stereotypical notion that hard and soft leader skills existed. This idea of gendered leadership. Hard skills were attributed to men, while soft skills were attributed to women. The hard skills that men were seen to have were regarded highly, while the soft skills that women were seen to possess were viewed negatively. Wallace and the authors assessed the number of women and minorities as higher education leaders to discern whether women and minorities are proportionately represented in the halls of academic leadership. The author's research focuses primarily on university presidents, since university presidents reside as the gatekeepers of academia, according to Wallace and the other authors. The research projects, which started in spring of 2008, examines the percentage of women and minority university presidents, as well as the rates at which female and minorities reach their positions compared to white males. The study had 3 objectives. The first was to determine if women and minorities are proportionately represented in university presidential positions. The second, to determine if females and minorities reach their positions of university president at the same rate as white males. And the third, to determine if women and minorities have achieved equal pay in higher education's top positions. For Objective 1, the statistics revealed almost no change in the percentage of female or minority university presidents. The statistics showed that in both the 2007-2008 academic year and the 2012-2013 academic year, that 84% of the university presidents were male, while only 16% of the university presidents were female. With that being said, research shows that there is an increasing number of women being awarded doctoral degrees, and that has a positive correlation with the number of women university presidents. Moving on, Objective 2. The researchers look at the number of years from the president's terminal or final degree to their first presidency. This information was obtained from 485 presidents in the study. The researchers note that the representation of the sample group is not proportional, but their showings did find that white females and white males achieved their presidency at about the same time. For the third objective, research found that male university presidents received a slightly higher wage than did their female counterparts. This gap was seen to be larger in the private sector than in the public sector. Yanez and Moreno assessed the relationship between women leadership and their role in the transformation of university organizations. The authors found that diversity is important in leadership, and in spite of their lesser presence in administration and managerial posts, research has shown a high level of satisfaction towards women leadership in organization from the perspective of their members. The authors interviewed 8 women, and they focus their studies on 2 individual cases. These cases look at women leaders in Spanish universities with an aim to gain a deeper understanding about the leadership styles and power management of a group of women who had Spanish university organizations. The first study is the case of Diana. Diana began as a teacher at the university and eventually became Dean of the Faculty of Social Sciences. The authors point out how, right from the beginning, women such as Diana have to overcome obstacles, such as entering university teaching later than men. Entering the field later than most also leads women to become isolated from their fellow colleagues, leading them to encounter difficulties in the advancement of their careers. But the study does show that there is a slow but steady incorporation of women in high positions of management. The authors assert that the demands of family life also burden young women in the working world, causing women to make a double effort in order to build up a competitive curriculum vitae while taking on leadership positions. The second case study is the study of Leonore. Leonore became head of the Department of Ecology when the previous head stepped down due to illness. Leonore's predecessor was an extremely well-liked professor who founded the Department of Ecology at the university. At the time when Leonore took charge, the department was undergoing an important change, and Leonore had to be extremely cautious in her succession. Leonore worked to bring a sense of calm to the time of unrest in the ecology department and prove herself as an adequate leader. Yanez and Moreno found that male management often has a sense of strong determination when it comes down to making decisions. This management style was not found in the cases of women leadership. Burke and Mattis are the editors of a collection of works focused on exploring the multifaceted issue of women and minorities in STEM. The disproportionate number of men to women entering into higher education exacerbates the already prevalent issue of upping the number of women graduating in these STEM fields. The purpose of the study is to help create a successful transition from high school to higher education for underrepresented groups of people, such as women and minorities. The program we look at today is the STEP program. The STEP program enrolls about 80 students each summer. The students are graduating seniors looking to enroll in higher education in the coming fall. The STEP program is a 5-week program and includes various activities for the students to participate in. The program helps participants experience life as an undergraduate student. Participants live on campus and are given the opportunity to explore campus and learn about the community so they have a better understanding of higher education. Research has found that all students benefit from the program, not solely those students from the underrepresented student population. The time participants are allowed to spend with faculty and staff discussing various majors and careers has shown to help students formulate informed decisions on their university path. The author found that since its inception in 1995, participants have exhibited better academic performance and greater retention to degree than a similar group of non-participants. As stated, the program's intent is to address the isolations of underrepresented students with a majority environment. This opportunity has increased the retention rate of female students. In summation, these studies have shown, and researchers agree, that gender inequality in higher education is an issue that has plagued society for many years. Traditional theories of gender inequality, such as women leaving career tracks in lieu of more family time, risk aversion behavior of women, perceptions of hostile work environments, an unwillingness of females to mentor other women, and discriminatory pay practices are all now being addressed at a federal level in many countries. Leadership in higher education is stereotyped with an overarching masculine culture which perpetuates the issue of gendered inequality. Women are facing difficulties. They're facing difficulties reaching leadership positions in higher education and in their advancement. Their advancement is hindered by this perceived masculine culture. Within leadership in higher education, males are perceived as possessing more favorable hard leadership skills, while women have feminine, soft leadership skills, which are viewed more negatively. With that being said, new studies and findings are showing that the gap is closing in regards to gendered inequality in higher education. Over 20 years ago, only 37% of doctoral degrees were awarded to women, while 63% were awarded to men. Today, women now surpass men in doctoral degree attainment. Some researchers, such as Wallace, believe the gap in gender inequality in higher education can be largely explained by the fact that men were attaining doctoral degrees at a greater rate. Future research will need to be conducted to conclude whether leadership in higher education is truly equalizing, but the increase in proportion is reassuring. Here you'll see the 10 references consulted for this presentation. I hope you enjoyed the presentation, and thank you for listening.